Hello students, today we are going to discuss a poem A Tiger in the Zoo written by Leslie Norris. So, let me introduce you to the life of the poet. George Leslie Norris was a prize-winning Welsh poet and a short story writer. He became a full-time writer at academic institutions in Britain and the United States. His collections include the collected stories and poems. His famous works are Finding Coal, The Love Winter, Phoenix Living Poets series, Ransom, etc. The poem A Tiger in the Zoo is divided into 5 stanzas and the rhyming scheme is ABCP. The poem explains the mental conditions of the tigers that are caged by humans for their amusement. Here, the poet wanted to convey a message that the wild animals should stay in their natural habitat, that is, the forest or jungle, and not in a concrete cell. Now, let's look into the poem. In the first stanzas, it says, he stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage, on beds of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. In this stanza, the poet has presented a tiger which was locked in a concrete cell. One can see his bright and sharp stripes which look very beautiful, but he can take only a few steps as he is in a small cage. So when he walks, one cannot hear his footsteps because he has a soft feet like velvet which makes no noise. As we know, tiger, being a mighty animal, now lies imprisoned behind the bars. The intensity of the tiger's rage and his helpless silence can be seen in this line. Why? Because the tiger is not free. Moving on to the second stanza, it says, he should be lurking in shadows, sliding through long grass, near the water hole where plum deer pass. Here, the poet presents a tiger in its natural habitat, and he says that the cage is not a place for a tiger. Instead, he should be moving around the jungle, which is his natural habitat. And the poet also adds that he should be hiding himself behind a long grass near the water bodies, waiting to attack the animals. And exactly, that tiger knows that the fat deer will arrive to drink water. So at that very point, he will hunt down his prey. Now the third stanza. He should be snarling around houses at a jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, and terrorizing the village. So here, again, the poet has stated that if the tiger was in open forest, then what behavior should it be? So the answer to the question is, he should be in the forest at a close vicinity of the village, where he should terrorize the villagers by showing his white fangs and claws. But the thing here is that the tiger never kills anyone unless and until he is provoked. His only intention is to terrorize the villagers, giving a warning sound around the house, only to show that he is the mighty animal and wants only recognition that he too exists in this nature. Now the fourth stanza, it says, but he's locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. In the first stanza, the poet gives a highlight that the tiger is locked in a concrete wall made up of strong building materials. And the very word "but" in the first line indicates poet's frustrations and concerns for this wild animal called tiger. The tiger's strength is restricted behind the bars, where the tiger wishes to escape from his confinement, but it is not possible because he is caged in the zoo like a prisoner in jail. This shows his strength are suppressed behind the bars. So the tiger is helplessly moving around the small space and ignoring the visitors. That's the reason he pays no attention or does not enjoy the presence of the visitors who have come to see him. It is because the tiger is disinterested in everything. Now moving on to the end of the stanza, that is the fifth stanza, it says, he hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. The final stanza highlights that at night the tiger hears the last sound of patrolling cars. Here, these cars are of the zoo officials to guard the animals at night. So we can see that even at night, the tiger remains disturbed. So the tiger is helplessly looking at the twinkling star shining in the sky with his brilliant eyes, because he wanted to say something to the clear sky. Here, the brilliant eyes indicates that he still hopes and longs for the day when he will be able to escape from his bondage. So we have learned from the very poem that the poet Leslie Norris wants to convey that it is improper to keep the wild animals away from their natural habitat because they feel angry, helpless, and unhappy in their artificial confinement and longs to be in the forest. Therefore, the poem presents the importance of freedom. So, with this, we came to the end of this poem. I hope you have learned something from this video. Thank you. Stay safe and healthy.